Hey, thanks for coming. I do fancy myself as a security guard for Shipyard. I've kicked a few people out of a few rooms. Sorry if that was any of you. Okay, cool. Well, it's great to be back. First demo in 3 years for New York Enterprise Tech Meetup. Super excited. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Shipyard. What we do is we help you with your ephemeral environments or your internal developer platform. What that means is that on every code change, you get an isolated, production-like environment that all the stakeholders in your company can use. So that's product folks, demo folks, QA folks, developers as well. And the whole idea here is that you are able to unblock all the other teams and kind of turn the validation and testing process of your actual application and your software development lifecycle into an asynchronous type of mode. A lot of folks might have some version of this. It can get a little ugly. I'm also the co-host of a podcast, CNCF podcast called Kubeless. Check it out. I don't have it on this slide. You should also check out ephemeralenvironments.io. I'll put that at the end. High-level developer infrastructure, super expensive. A lot of cool stats here, but I want to go quick. We can get back to that later. The faster you get your features tested, the less expensive it is from a lot of different perspectives. But the worst thing that can happen is a customer finds out that your thing is broken in production. You want to figure out that those problems are happening much earlier on in the process. So Shipyard is your internal developer platform. DevOps teams are very constrained these days. There's a whole lot of stuff going on with riffs and all this stuff, and so it's really important that you have the best practices for your various team members, but it's kind of expensive to maintain that, and so that's where Shipyard comes in. So I'm going to run into a product demo real quick, and Jess, I'm sorry, I forgot to put my timer on, so that's fine, whatever. Okay, cool. All right, okay, cool. So we are a GitHub first platform, so I'm going to log in with my GitHub, and I hope all of you are not too much on this Wi-Fi right now. I'm a little nervous about that, but hopefully it's okay. Okay, cool. So this is a little bit of a techie demo, and I know that the crowd here can be a little bit both enterprise and tech. So what I'm doing real quick is and this is the tech part, but I'm adding a Node backend, React frontend app. I bet some of the enterprise people have heard those terms before. And this is just a quick version, and it's kind of a quick demo to show what the workflow is. And so I'm going through this very quickly, but what I'm doing is I'm linking Shipyard to my GitHub, which is my source control, and then when a change is made there, a bunch of cool stuff happens. I'm going to show you that happening right now. I do need a little bit of audience participation. So I need a color.
Purple.
Purple. I got purple. Anyone else? I'm going with I just don't like the Yankees, but I'm going to do it. Blue, purple. Purple?
Yeah.
He's got a Yankees hat on. I don't like I'm from Los Angeles. I don't like the Red Sox or anything. Don't worry.
Baseball.
It's fine. You're wearing a hat. It's fine. All right, so I'm going to go with purple. And we have a bunch of cool Code Climate purple sweatshirts in the audience, so I'm eyeballing those things. So demo with purple. Oh, I'm sorry. Something I need to do here is if I go back into everyone can see this. If I go back into the Shipyard interface, you'll actually see that the initial environment I added is already there and ready to go. But I'm going to turn on some notifications because ultimately what Shipyard is about is fitting into your existing workflow. So what that means is that over here, I'm actually in GitHub right now, and I'm making this quick demo environment. Mark can see. And then we'll just call it purple. And I'm creating a pull request. I feel like you can put your hat back on. I'm sorry. Now I feel bad. No, it's okay. We're doing the purple. No. Hey, you're very instrumental in the demo. So I'm creating what's known as a pull request. So this is kind of for the tech people out there. You know what that is. But for the non-tech people, it means that I'm making a new version of the code and I'm committing it to my source control. And you'll see right here that GitHub has picked this up. And also Shipyard has picked this up. We have a bunch of bells and whistles, but one of the really important things to keep in mind is that all these environments that we're giving folks, they are meant to be ephemeral, they are meant to be short-lived, and they're not meant for everyone to see them. So we have a pretty cool SSO layer on top of all this stuff. We also have environment variables, all kinds of security stuff going on there. One other thing that I'll just quickly highlight is that this is a developer tool, which means, but it's a developer tool to communicate with the rest of the organization. And so on the developer side, you've got to build, you've got to deploy, and then you've got to do a bunch of other stuff. And so we have some pretty cool screens here for the technology people out there while that's happening and building in the background. Get your CPU utilization and your memory stuff. The Grafana charts take a second, but they'll be there. There we go. Okay, cool. And so let's see, is my demo ready? It looks like it is. On the left over here, we have the original React application, and then on the right over here, we have our purple. Are we happy? Do we want to merge it? What do you think? Do we like the okay? So we're gonna merge it. I think we've got the merge, we've got the go, and basically what that's gonna do is that's gonna now make everything. It's gonna fire off a little bit more on the Shipyard side. We closed it, and now that main environment is ready to go. Again, I don't know how much time I have because I forgot to start my clock. Jess, you got a time clock? I have like a minute and a half. There's one other thing I like to show. It's a little weird because it's an election day. I hope everyone voted. But this is a vote app. And one of the things that we do, and it's a big question a lot of people ask, is, hey, that's cool, you build and deploy our containers. That's cool, we kind of do that. The real hard thing to deal with is state or your data, right? If you just turn on an application and there's no users in there or anything like that, it gets a little weird. So the way that I demo this is using the very famous Cats versus Dogs app, which I'm sure 3 of you know what that is in this room. But for Docker folks, and this guy's laughing, he knows what the Cats versus Dog app is. So you have that. And what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna go to the data dashboard. And so what happens is when I create a new environment, I showed you that it inherited all those other things, and now it's purple, and that's really cool. But the same type of behavior happens for your data, right? And so now you're able to manipulate and move data around. If you take a look over there, it says 1 vote. So what I'm gonna do, and it's very uncomfortable today with our voting, but I'm gonna do it anyways, is I'm gonna load a previous snapshot of a vote, but that's nothing so I'm doing. All right, well, I guess my time is over. But I can take some questions and answers while this is going, because I really think I'm over. What's happening right now, and we'll see it wake up in a second, is that the data is being reset to a different checkpoint. Overarchingly, the whole idea here is that you can make your developers, but your product people, your QA teams, your testing teams move a lot faster. All right, I think I have like 2 or 3 minutes for questions, if there's any questions. And I will be yelling.
Everybody has to yell.
Everybody has to yell. Any questions?
Who's got a question in the audience?
That person.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Rami. I'm a machine learning engineer at Live Nation. I think a product like this makes our jobs a lot easier, so kudos. What's one of the most in-demand features that you guys are going to add to the ecosystem that you have?
I'm sorry, sorry, I didn't hear the end of that question.
In-demand features that you get to add or that are next to be added?
That's a really good question. There's a few. I would say that our API is really the thing that's kind of burgeoning. So all the stuff I just showed you, oh wait, I can refresh this by the way. Look at that, no votes. Sorry, it's bad timing. Anyway, the most demand stuff is kind of the API. So a lot of people are using Shipyard in conjunction with their CI. So by being able to programmatically reset databases, programmatically move different PRs together and whatnot, that's kind of the thing that I would say is the biggest on the horizon for us. That's a great question. Thank you, Rami. Rami? Was it Rami?
Yes.
I saw a question over there. Or is it the same question?
Yeah.
Yes, Evgeny.
We're going to bring a mic over.
Yeah, so mic for you again.
Stand up.
Hey, great demo.
Thank you.
So can you tell a little bit about the data snapshots? Like,
Sure.
are there any like specific database that you support, or like basically how it works, like real quick?
So we snapshot at the volume level. So as long as your database reads and writes to disk and respects Kill 9, then you're good to go. So it can be Postgres, it can be Mongo, it can be Kafka, it can be Rabbit. It just needs to read and write from disk. So it's agnostic.
Got it. Great.
Thanks again. I feel like I've talked more than I should have. Or one more question.
So I had a similar setup at my last job, and it was one of the best dev experiences I've ever seen. So love to see this moving into the community. The two key issues with it, built internally, was labor needed to maintain it, and then also resource cost of fanning out 400-person engineering or new instance on every PR. Can you talk a little bit about how you bill and like what the sort of advantages of using Shipyard over internal building outside of labor cost?
Yes, thank you. I didn't know that was going to work. So that's a great question. The first thing that I didn't show, because it was a little bit condensed, is that we have something called SLV, or since last visit. So one of the things that we do is we do build everything, because we want those artifacts there so that when it's needed, or the API, like we were talking about Rami, it's available. So we do build, but then we turn them off unless they're being visited. So that is one way that we, I don't know if anyone can hear me, but that's one way that we deal with costs. In regards to the build versus buy thing, that's a great question, something that we talk about folks with all the time. One thing we've really learned is that the experienced, mature DevOps practitioners at the larger, what's called Fortune 5000, they're very, very into not having to build this themselves. There's a massive maintenance cost, there's also an upfront cost, and there's also the, oh, that DevOps person left the company, we got to rebuild it cost, which I think a lot of, yeah, Mark is laughing at that one. So that's a very common problem. In regards to our pricing, we do it, we have something called dry docks, so it's usage based, and so we're incentivized because it's actually, we're running all of this on our infrastructure, and everybody gets a single tenant Kubernetes cluster for each one of their organizations, and so we're highly incentivized to make this as efficient as possible, and it's really about the number of users and just having those things being on demand for them.
Great questions. So thank you so much. It's almost like those questions were planted.
Thank you for having me.